So Bleach Report just proposed a hypothetical trade between the Warriors and Clippers for Kawhi Leonard. I ran a poll a few days ago asking y'all if I should address this trade proposal in a video. The majority of y'all said yes. And me being a man of the people, I had to oblige. So let's get into it. Alright, so we're going to break down this trade. Then after, I'll give my final verdict on whether I'll do this trade or not. So Bleach Report's trade proposal is Kawhi Leonard for Andrew Wiggins, Gary Payton, Kevon Looney, Moses Moody, a 2028 first round pick unprotected, a 2029 first round pick swap, and a 2030 first round pick top 3 protected. Alright, so before I break it down from the Warriors perspective, I want to touch on why the Clippers would hypothetically make this trade. After losing Paul George in free agency, the Clippers are no longer title contenders. There were frauds with him, and they're for damn sure even bigger frauds without him. So with that being said, in this hypothetical trade scenario, keyword hypothetical, the Clippers decide to blow it up, and the Warriors, fresh off of striking out on Larry Markkinen, comes in a little desperate and a little more willing to gamble. They got the best offer on the table, and the Clippers accept. Alright, so that's the trade scenario. Now, let's look at it from the Warriors perspective. So as for trade proposal takeaways, the first thing I want to mention is that you don't have to give up Brandon Podziemski or Jonathan Kuminga in this scenario. I think that's the biggest appeal of this trade. You're getting a player Kawhi Leonard's talents without giving up your 2 best high upside young players. That's insane, man. Imagine acquiring Kawhi Leonard, but you get to keep Kuminga and Podziemski. So in terms of the on-court product, you're essentially turning Andrew Wiggins, Moses Moody, Kevon Looney, and GP2 into Kawhi Leonard, while maintaining JK and Pods as your bridge to the future cornerstone young players. Now, in terms of the draft capital going out, you're giving up 2 first-round picks, but for one of them, you're able to put a top 3 protection on it. And for those of y'all who don't know how protections work, for example, if a team was to put a top 3 protection on a pick, if that pick was to fall into the top 3 in the draft, since the pick is protected top 3, that means the pick does not convey. So it's a way for the team to protect themselves in case of a disaster situation happening, like the pick you're giving away turning into a top 3 pick for the other team. That's worst case scenario. So having the protections in place prevents that from happening. All right, now let's get to this Warriors depth chart. You got Curry at point, DeAnthony Melton at the 2, Kawhi Leonard at small forward, Kuminga at power forward, and Draymond at center. We got Paz and Buddy Hield in the backcourt coming off the bench, Guy Santos at the 3, Slow-Mo at the 4, and TJD at the 5. So one thing I will say, even though the Warriors are doing a 4-for-1 trade in this scenario, they still maintain pretty solid depth, although they will still need to reinforce their front court with a secondary trade for a player with size, especially if you're sending out Looney in this trade. But if their second round rookie Quinton Post turns out to be a solid contributor, this won't be as much of a need, but they still need to address it just in case. If Draymond goes down, all you got at center is TJD and Quinton Post, a first and second year player. They're gonna need another vet. Looking at their top 9 rotation, they're pretty solid. In the playoffs, all you need is a strong 8-man rotation. Some teams get away with a 7-man rotation. As you get deeper into the playoffs, playoff rotations shorten more and more as your main guys start to play more minutes. So you don't really need to be 9 or 10 deep. That depth is more so to help you get through the regular season, which is something they're going to need with their 2 best players, Steph Curry and Kawhi Leonard, more than likely missing time at some point. Now, before I give my verdict on the trade, I want to speak on both sides of the argument. As for the pros, even if you're against this trade, you gotta admit, the thought of pairing 2 Hall of Famers that are this close to their prime, 2 players that have won championships as the best player on their team, have won finals MVPs, and have earned honors as first-team All-NBA players. That's an intriguing scenario, especially considering if you don't have to give up Kuminga or Pods, you can go all in now with Kawhi and Steph, with Pods and Kuminga being their heir apparents. Kuminga learns from Kawhi, who's probably his best case scenario, while Paz continues to learn from Steph Curry. Plus, I think this is the season Kuminga takes his biggest leap as a player so far. I think he's going to be a 20-point per game scorer. So if Kawhi Leonard's your second option, and year 4 Kuminga is your third option, you're not doing too bad. That wing tandem of Kuminga and Kawhi would be amazing. You have a great balance between an established veteran and an up-and-coming young player. The games you got to rest Kawhi, Kuminga takes on more of an offensive load, and I think he can handle it. It's a huge difference between asking Kuminga to be your second scorer every single night and him being your third scorer that's asked to fill in every now and then as your second scorer. Bringing in Kawhi also means Kuminga's getting the team's 3rd best defender instead of their 2nd best, which is a huge difference. Not a lot of teams have 3 good perimeter defenders, so it's going to be a lot of nights where Kuminga has a physical mismatch and he's eaten. With this trade, you're adding an all-time great who plays a premium position on the wing. Offensively, you finally get Steph a second option that can very comfortably be your first option on a lot of nights, and he's also a 2-way player, which is a huge bonus. Kawhi is nowhere near the defender he was in his prime, but he still has great size on the wing to go along with the defensive IQ that's off the charts. I mean, he is a former Defensive Player of the Year winner. Kawhi would get the easiest buckets of his life, capitalizing off of Steph's gravity. He's never played with a point guard of this caliber, a player that commands this level of attention. Now, Kawhi is great at taking and making tough shots, but on this team, he'll be playing next to an offensive player that's even better than him. Kawhi is the 2nd best offensive player on your team. It's scary. All right, now let's get to the cons. This man ain't got no knees, bro. He ain't got no knees. I mean, that's the main thing. Like, his body's deteriorating. The amount of lower leg injuries is piled up. I'm not sure how much knee cartilage he got left, but after all those surgeries, I wouldn't be surprised if he's bone on bone right now with his knees. This ain't even me trying to be funny. I think he has degenerative knee problems. His body's a ticking time bomb. And if you look at his injury history the past like 5 years, he doesn't finish a season too often. Rarely does he make it to the playoffs in one piece. And when he does, he breaks down in the playoffs. Whether he load manages the entire regular season or not, it doesn't make a difference. His body just can't hold up over the course of a season plus playoff run, which makes this trade a bad idea. Although it's enticing, it's just too risky. The risk to reward factor with this trade is crazy. If you make this trade and his body somehow holds up, just looking at this depth chart, looking at this roster on paper, if you got Steph and Kawhi on the same team in the playoff series and they're both healthy, the Warriors should be favorites. I don't care who they playing. Like, in my opinion, you got Steph and Kawhi on the same team in the playoff series, like, the talent level is insane. Steph's the best point guard in the league, and Kawhi's a top 3 wing when healthy. That team would be tough, bro. But unfortunately, I have no faith in Kawhi making it to the playoffs in one piece. In 2K My GM mode, this would be a great trade. But that's about the only scenario where I would make this trade. This is one of those trades where it sounds nice, but it'll never happen. So my final verdict, I'm not doing this trade. Way too much risk involved. If you're giving up those draft picks and Kawhi is injured, like he always is, you're cooked, bro. Like, you're straight up, you're cooked. It's just too risky of a swing move in these last few years of Steph's prime. So there you have it. Now, obviously, I know this trade will never go down in real life. I know the Clippers will never trade Kawhi Leonard to the Warriors. It's a trade that you guys requested I break down, so that's what I did. Anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed. If I entertained you or you learned something new, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. I'll hop on the next one. Peace.